Hello, everybody. This is Zemanon, coach of the Detroit Solgaleo, here with your Week 3 match in the LDL Evolution League, the third season of it. We are going up against Philly and the Newcastle Noivern. So we are 0-2 right now. Philly is our other division opponent. We're going to be facing off against our division at the end of the season again. But I really do not want to start off 0-3. You know, that would be... it'd be a really hard hole to climb out of. We're already at disadvantage at 0-2, so really wanted to win in this week. We did a lot of prep for it. So I'll just quickly go over his whole team. So he has Terrakion, Rotom-Wash, Hoopa, Whimsicott, Magmortar, Garbodor, Megavenusaur, Weavile, Rhyperior, Pangoro, and Wobbuffet. So now you can see the 6 that he decided to bring here in this matchup. Some surprises. I wasn't expecting Wobbuffet, and I wasn't expecting Garbodor. I now understand why Garbodor makes sense, because, you know, I have a couple fairy weaknesses with the, you know, the Sylveon, and my Celebi, so I now understand why Garbodor was a good bring, and it actually was pretty strong in this match. But, going into the week, I was more scared about Terrakion. I was really worried about taking a Continental Crush and seeing if I had anything on the team that could. And then I saw that Terrakion was not his Z-move user. In fact, it is the Hoopa and Garbodor are his Z users. So that put my mind a little bit at ease. Then I had to, of course, worry about like Scarf Terrakion or something like that. But he actually didn't bring it at all, which makes sense because I have Rain. You know, I can just sacrifice Pelipper and then have Swampert come in and Rain and, you know, and do some magic that way. But now, after trying to guess the Z-move user, I would assume it was probably going to be Hoopa, and I didn't want to take, you know, with my Incineroar, I assumed it would be a prime opportunity for him to go for like Z Focus Blast or something if he had Focus Blast on him. So instead of Pinch Berry, which we've been running the last couple weeks on Incineroar, we actually have Assault Vest this time around. So we can actually, thanks to our Assault Vest, we can survive a Z Focus Blast from Hoopa. So that was the idea behind that. But then pretty much other, you know, just standard stuff, honestly, from the rest of the team, except I did have Focus Sash on Pelipper. Instead, I didn't, you know, I usually like bulky Pelippers more because it's so slow. It's only got 65 speed. I just feel like, you know, it's better to take advantage of its bulk, but this week I just went for the Focus Sash. And that's why I knew, just going in, before I even saw his team of 6, I was going to lead Pelipper no matter what. Obviously, I was preparing for Terrakion. I thought Terrakion would be his lead if he was going to bring it, but he decided not to. So let's just get into our battle here. And yeah, we're in a really bad spot if we lose this match. We're 0-3. It's a 12-week season, and our last 3 opponents are our division opponents again. So, you know, this would be a hard hill to climb at 0-3. But I lead Pelipper, and he makes a nice choice of leading into the Rotom. So obviously, I'm just going to switch out here. I'm not going to let him Volt Switch or anything like that. Celebi resists electric here, so I was expecting a Volt Switch from the Rotom, but instead he actually just goes for a straight up Thunderbolt, and I should have realized more at the time, but this Thunderbolt actually does a lot for a resisted hit into Celebi, and I should have picked up on that. And later on he told me that his Rotom was Choice Specs, so that definitely makes sense here, and that's going to come up later again. But with the obvious switch out, because he's locked into Thunderbolt, I'm going to have my chance to set up the Stealth Rocks as Garbodor switches in. I don't want to take a Gunk Shot from this, obviously, so I bring in my Incineroar to intimidate it, and to also, it would live, you know, take a Gunk Shot better. But fortunately for us, we do avoid the Gunk Shot. I would say it wouldn't matter, but he actually has Drain Punch and is faster than me, and he crits. So if he didn't get a crit, it wouldn't have mattered. But because he did get a crit Drain Punch, the Gunk Shot was actually important that we dodged that. We knock off the Black Sludge. I didn't know Garbodor was so fast, considering it outsped my Incineroar. But that's why I couldn't stay in. I was expecting a Drain Punch here, and that's exactly what he goes for. Thankfully, there was no Gunk Shot coming at me So he gets like no recovery at all. The rain stops, and now I can just freely psychic. I didn't know if he was just going to sacrifice it, and that is what he decides to go for here. So Garbodor is down, which is great for my Celebi and for my Sylveon here. Now he brings out the Hoopa. Hoopa was either going to be Scarfed or Z-Move, so I didn't want to risk it. Sylveon has a very good special defense, so I was just going to come in to eat this Shadow Ball, and that is exactly what the Hoopa goes for. So I still do not know if it is Z-Move or if it is the Choice Scarf on Hoopa. Get a little bit of leftovers. I know I can easily take, like 2 more Shadow Balls without any special defense traps or anything. So he makes a smart play of switching into Wobbuffet. This is where my unfamiliarity with Wobbuffet comes in. I know he's just like kind of a menace, and I really was not prepared for it at all, but I did bring Calm Mind this week on Sylveon, and I was ready to get a couple of Calm Minds set up to help me take Sludge Bombs from the Venusaur a little bit better. I messed up here. I should have went into the Incineroar because there was nothing that he could do really to my Incineroar, but instead he has Mirror Coat, and Mirror Coat is going to knock us out because we did so much damage to the Wobbuffet. And he actually has Life Orb, which is pretty interesting. So I got to take the Sylveon off the team here. And in comes my Incineroar. And now another time where he's actually faster than my Incineroar, and I was not expecting that in the slightest. So I'm guessing it's like a lot of speed, because I'm pretty sure Wobbuffet is a very slow Pokemon. So Wobbuffet takes himself down, but at the same time takes out my Incineroar with the Destiny Bond. So that really hurts us. In comes the Whimsicott here, and I was just bringing in Pelipper regardless of who he brought in to set up the rain again. I really like that. I think the Whimsicott was Focus Sash. He wasn't Choice Specs or anything like that because he goes for different moves. But I think he was sashed, and it was good that we broke his sash here because he actually goes for Defog. And I think looking back, he didn't know I was Focus Sashed here on Pelipper, but if he knew, it would have been better to go for an attack to break my sash because that's going to matter later. So Pelipper is actually able to knock out the Whimsicott with almost a one-hit KO right after Stealth Rock, so pretty much a one-hit. So that's a great job from my Pelipper here this week, taking down the Whimsicott. He brings in the Rotom, obvious switch. I bring Zeraora expecting Thunderbolt or a Grass Attack for Swampert, and he goes for Hydro Pump in the rain, and it connects, and it one-shots Zeraora. Now, I didn't do the calcs. I don't know if the Choice Specs is what made it made it one-shot. I think the fact that it was in rain probably meant Zeraora would be one hit anyway, so that really hurts us, that I just lose Zeraora for nothing. Even though at this point Zeraora really wasn't doing much to the remaining Pokemon except like Rotom, he hit neutrally. And then he just makes a good switch here, but I decided I wanted to use my Z move before Celebi got knocked out, because I assumed it was going to be knocked out like pretty quickly, because it was kind of frail. Excuse me. So I go for the Bloom Doom into the resisted Venusaur, which obviously is not going to do squat to it. Like, yeah, maybe it did like 5% or something. It stinks when you just waste your Z move like that, but it is fine. And actually, any amount of chip we could get on the Venusaur was pivotal into whittling this thing down, because it is so bulky. Now I Psychic, I outspeed the Venusaur, and I bring him down to around 45%. And this turn he Toxics. So he puts, I was a little confused, it starts to take my health away or whatever. But maybe he doesn't have Sludge Bomb. We didn't see the Sludge Bomb in this match, and I was very confused why he didn't just go for the Sludge Bomb there to knock me out, because I have Natural Cure on Celebi, right? So I could switch out whenever I want to get rid of the Toxic, and then Psychic plus Giga Drain knocks out Rotom here. So that's what we're gonna see. The Psychic did around 35 or something like that percent to the Rotom, and then Giga Drain takes care of the rest, and I get to recover some of the health that I'm losing from Toxic. So if he had Sludge Bomb, that probably would have been a better play than Toxicking the Celebi. But I'm happy that Celebi was able to take 2 knockouts in this game. Like that, that makes me happy, because I had not been using the Celebi effectively in this season so far. Now Hoopa comes out, and now I stayed in just to see if he was Scarf. That was the only reason, because I know he's gonna click Shadow Ball obviously here, but I didn't want to break my Sash on Pelipper, and I didn't want Swampert to take any damage. He is not Scarfed, so that confirms to me he is the Z move here. And I don't think he's Fight Z. I think he is Shadow. I think he's Shadow Ball with Ghostium Z. So now we're down. It is 2v2. I bring in my Pelipper here to set up the rain because we're in late mode, or late game mode. I have 5 turns to win the game now because Swampert has the boost, and he goes for a Z move. And I wonder, what happened on his end, if he thought this was the clinch. This is how we're gonna win the game. I'm gonna one-shot the Pelipper, and now the Swampert is not able to take out 2 Pokemon before I can knock it out, right? But thankfully the prep works out for us because we're Focus Sash, and we live on 1 HP. Then we get to Scald in the rain. Now the only difference, or we would have had a better differential if we got the Scald burn right here, but we did not, so that sucks. Hoopa is able to knock us out. So now we're down to just Swampert, and I'm terrified because I had forgotten how much damage I did to Venusaur. I thought I only did like 25% to it. So, sorry about that. Apologies. We're going to have the, Swampert 1v2 right now. I know any attack I go for will knock out the Hoopa. So I go for the Earthquake just in case he decides to switch in the Venusaur for some reason. It honestly did not matter what attack I went for here. I just didn't want a Waterfall in case he switched in. So Hoopa goes down here, and it is 1v1, and I'm sweating. The crit obviously did not matter. I'm sweating. I have no idea. I totally forgot that thanks to the Psychic earlier from Celebi, that I brought him down to around 45%. Now, I don't know his Venusaur set, but the like Smogon, preset of like HP and defense bulk did like 43 to 52%, and he was at around 45%. So I needed a literal like pure min roll, like ultimate min roll to not win that game, because I'm sure he has Giga Drain and he would have knocked me out there. So the Venusaur is going to go down, and the Detroit Solgaleo have their first win of the LDL this season. We have a 1-0 victory. Does stink. I would have loved to have won 2-0 here, just to help a little bit in the differential. That would have been nice, but you know what? You'll take any win you can get at this point, especially when you're 0-2. Like it felt good. I was just so happy. I was regretting the whole time. I was like, I don't know if Focus Sash is gonna work. What if he gets Stealth Rocks up? But then he doesn't even have like a rocker that he ends up bringing. And the other reason I went with Focus Sash I thought made sense was because he has Whimsicott, and Whimsicott can run Prankster. He can set up the sun with his Prankster ability. So I was worried about that. I was like, if Whimsicott just comes in and just gets rid of the rain, there's no point in running Damp Rock because I'm not going to have rain for 8 turns, right? So that's why I went with the Sash, and I also had Rain Dance on my Pelipper in case he sets up Sunny Day on a turn and I miss my Hurricane. Well, then the next turn I can just Rain Dance because I had the Focus Sash. So yeah, a couple of those turns. The turn where he defogged on Whimsicott, and then the turn that he Toxic my Celebi with his Venusaur instead of going for a potential Sludge Bomb if he had it. They definitely changed things, but then again, like he also got a Drain Punch crit. Then he had the he didn't get the Scald burn, which 30% of the time feels like it should be like 80% of the time, or at least when it happens to me, feels like I get burned all the time. So like back and forth. This was a really close match, and I give my opponent a lot of credit. I'm just excited we got our first win. So we're moving on. We're moving out of the division into the rest of the league next week. So we will, we'll see what happens. Hopefully we can start a trend here and have this rain comp go on a tear and maybe do a little bit better in the Evo League. Try to prove ourselves a little bit. But thank you everybody for tuning in this week. Hopefully you'll come back next week if you would like to stay up to date on all of the action that we have in the LDL this season. Please subscribe to the channel. You'll get notifications every time our weekly battles go up. And then, of course, if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Zemanon. That's on the screen right there, Xeminan. Also, I stream on Twitch, too, so twitch.tv/Zemanon. But for now, this is Zemanon and the Detroit Solgaleo signing off. We will see you next week.